Hi there. Let's talk about revision. Revision. It's so fun. I've broken this slideshow up into 5 steps: present, vocalize, question, assess, and challenge. I kept those vague just to add some mystery to this presentation. I hope you appreciate it. Let me just tell you what revision is. Revision is rewriting your writing. You write something once, when you look at it and make it better, that's revision. But let's talk about some ways to do that. Chapter 1, present. And this means present your essay to someone else. Give it to someone new. So what this does is it helps you see things that you would not see on your own. Someone else has different eyes than you do, different ways of processing things. They'll help you understand your weaknesses. And if you get a really good reader, they'll help you, they'll help reinforce your strengths. They'll say, hey, I know I pointed out some things that you need to work on, but you're also doing this other stuff really well. Second part of revision, or not, there's no parts to this. This can come in any order, but another thing, or chapter 2, is vocalize. And all I mean by that is read your writing out loud. Let me be more specific. Read it out loud and slow. What happens when you do this, I think the number one thing that happens is you start to catch awkward sentences. When you say your own writing out loud, you catch moments that your writing is not sounding like maybe the way you want it to sound. Sometimes when you read on paper, you don't catch those things. Another thing you might catch are overuse of pronouns. That's words like he, him, it, they, her. When you use too many pronouns, especially when you're using a lot of pronouns to refer to different things, that could lead to confusion. And you'll have no clarity. Your reader won't know what you're referring to. Does he refer to Greg or is it to John? So you notice that when you read out loud. And another thing you notice are transitions. You notice when your transitions are working or when they're not. Transitions are those sentences that end paragraphs and begin paragraphs. How do they connect? And then finally, of course, if you're reading out loud and you're enjoying your writing, you might have this revelation. Hey, my writing is awesome. Chapter 3 is a reflection stage. It's when we ask ourselves some questions. Now, here are some, you can ask yourself any kinds of questions, but here's some I feel like are important and might do you some good. So ask yourself, is my paragraph doing something? Does it function in some way? We've talked about context, right? Explaining some background to your reader. That's context. You could say to yourself, my paragraph's giving context. You might also say my paragraph is providing evidence or supporting my argument. Each paragraph should do one thing, at least, probably only one thing. As you become a more advanced writer, you could do more than one thing in each paragraph, but I think it's sometimes easy to not really know exactly what you're doing. So ask yourself specifically, what is one thing this paragraph is doing? All right, that's kind of 1 and 2 here. Number 3, we're going to go deeper into transitions. Ask yourself, does my last line of one paragraph make sense in the way it transitions into the first line of the next paragraph? There should be a flow between the 2 paragraphs. They should feel like they connect. The follow-up paragraph shouldn't sound like it comes out of nowhere. Okay? This next thing I'm writing about, where I write, am I ever showing my own thinking? What I mean by that is, are you just saying what your research gave you? Are you just saying what other people said? Or are you doing a little analysis? I don't mean, are you showing your own bias? I mean, are you taking the things you found and processing them and synthesizing them in a meaningful way to show your own thinking? Because that's the purpose of an essay, is for you to do some thinking, for you to crunch some numbers and some ideas. Okay, and that means being specific about what you're thinking, not being vague and general, but specifically digging into the topic yourself. And finally, a question you should ask yourself, and this is difficult, and we'll work on this as we go on. Am I always being clear, detailed, and specific? It's really important to avoid vagueness, generalities, broad statements. It's better to get a laser focus on a detail. Okay? We'll talk more about that as the semester goes on. 4, assess. And what I mean by assess is consider and evaluate your research. So you've done research for your paper. You should have it throughout your paper. And what's important to do is make sure your research is cited. All that means is you tell your reader, this is where I got my information, whether it's a quote, whether you're summarizing what you read somewhere, okay? I don't think we've gone over this yet, but eventually you'll want your citations to be in MLA format. So keep that in mind. Your citations should be formatted correctly. Also, if you get your research from a place like Wikipedia, Wikipedia doesn't always, it's not a good source. You can't just say, I got it from Wikipedia. People write that stuff you find in Wikipedia, and Wikipedia links to the places people wrote about things. What I'm getting at is anytime you provide a source for your research, it should have someone's last name, the last name of the author who wrote it. Someone wrote everything on the internet. So we want to give them credit and also tell our reader where our sources are from. Okay. Part 5, just a challenge. You've done all that other stuff. Here's some things to take your writing to the next level. Don't be afraid to cut. You can take out a whole paragraph. If it's not working, don't be afraid. You can always add another one. Cut a sentence if it's not working. Be okay with trimming stuff back. I know you want your writing to like make a word count, but it's also okay to take stuff away. And this is just where I repeat, please have someone else read your work. Okay, that's really important. Also, as you reflect on your writing, listen to feedback, be sure to let your strengths make you grow confidence and let those strengths guide you to overcoming your weaknesses. We all have weaknesses as writers, and that's okay. Our strengths are what can carry us through, okay? And then finally, just get it done. Just keep writing, work on it, get it done, revise. You got this. All right. As part of your essay submission, you need to turn in a revision reflection. Here's what that means. You need to revise your essay and then write me a short letter explaining these 4 things. When you read your paper aloud, what did you decide to change? When someone else read your paper, what did they tell you? So you have to get someone to read your paper. 3, does each of your paragraphs do one thing? What do they do? So you can't just say yes. You have to say yes. I have 5 paragraphs. Here's the first paragraph does, second, third, fourth, fifth. Tell me. By telling me, I know that you've told yourself and you've made sure each paragraph functions in some way. Also, check out your sources and then tell me on your revision reflection, how did you present your sources? You know, it doesn't need to be perfect. I'm not asking your paper to be perfect, but I am asking you to think about these things and then write that up and submit it to me so I could see where you're at. And then, most importantly of all, have fun. It's the exercise of thinking and writing. We should be having fun. We're growing as readers and writers and thinkers, so enjoy yourself. Have a good time. That's it from me. I hope that helps you. Have a great paper. I'll talk to you later.